In foyer of Thorn's grand palace, I feel the looming presence of Sage behind me. It's not entirely his place. The king and queen own it too, but they are absent during my visit. Let's officially listen to today's werewolf story. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your support. 15's Era. Sage's imposing presence looms behind me as I ushered into the grand foyer of Thorn's opulent palace. The marble floors gleam beneath my feet, reflecting the ornate chandelier is hanging overhead. Intricate tapestries adorn the wall, depicting scenes of royal history and conquest. It's not entirely Thorn's domain. The king and sovereign rule here, but they are conspicuously absent during my visit. My father has sent me here with a singular purpose, to persuade Thorn to propose marriage to me. Thorn, it is wonderful to see you again, I exclaim, watching him stride across the expansive foyer towards me, his polished boots echoing on the marble. He cuts the dashing figure today, every inch the prince in his baby blue dress shirt and dark, tailored coat. I can't help but notice his eyes seem brighter, his hair lighter than I recall from our last encounter. You too, and Sarah, thank you for visiting. He greets, his voice warm and inviting. I brought my personal guard with me as well. I'm sure you understand why. I gesture behind me at Sage, who stands stoically, his muscular frame a stark contrast to the delicate decor surrounding us. Thorn's welcoming smile falters as he takes in the imposing sight of my guard. Sage merely dips his head in a respectful greeting, acknowledging Thorn's royal status. Instead of addressing Sage, Thorn redirects his attention to me, his expressions softening. Oh's Era, what has been happening to you is just horrendous. Truly, I cannot imagine. He reaches out and grasps my hand with heartbreaking gentleness, his touch warm against my skin. My heart would melt if this manner of speaking impressed me, but I've grown too pragmatic for such sentiments. Once we locate where the rebel group is based, this threat will be put down immediately, I tell him firmly, my voice carrying a hint of steel. I glance back at Sage, who nods once, his eyes never leaving our surroundings. Do you have any idea why they are targeting you? Thorn asks, tapping his index finger against his chin, his brow furrowed in concern. No, but I wish I did know. More than anyone, I yearn to understand why my mate is targeting me, the question burning in my mind. Thorn holds his arm out to me, his posture regal. Come, walk with me in the gardens. With a polite smile, I link my arm through his, allowing him to guide me out through the back to the sprawling gardens. Just like at home, the ground is frosted over, the once vibrant flower bed now dormant under a thin layer of ice. I apologize about Sage tailing us, glancing behind as Sage lingers back respectfully, keeping his distance, although he's clearly within earshot, his keen eyes scanning our surroundings. Thorn looks back too, the slightest frown creasing his forehead. It's for your safety. I entirely understand. You look uncomfortable, I observe, noting the tension in his shoulders. Forgive me. It's just the last time I saw him, he interrupted us. He rubbed the back of his neck, clearly remembering when Sage burst and unceremoniously shoved him out of the room. I doubt in his entire life as prince, he's ever been handled so roughly. Right, I wince, feeling a twinge of embarrassment. I'm sorry about that night, by the way. I'm not usually so desperate. I wish I could take that night back. I hadn't anticipated my father bringing me here in pursuit of a marriage so soon, but he's pressured by the rebellion and wants to secure my safety away from the estate as quickly as possible. Thorn and I may be married for years, and I fear I won't be able to escape the memory of that night. All is forgiven. I was as, how do you say, desperate as you were, he admits quietly, looking down at his feet, a faint blush coloring his cheeks. I watch him, even as I feel the intensity of Sage's gaze tracking our every move. We could be whispering, and I doubt what we are saying would go unheard by his keen ears. Clearing my throat, I force a smile onto my face, determined to move past the awkwardness. So, what do you have planned for my visit? I was hoping we could go visit the nearby town, perhaps walk in the forest, and I know of a wonderful froze enigmatic that's beautiful at this time of year, he exclaims, his eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. I nod gratefully, pleasantly surprised by his thoughtfulness. I've been invited to princes' homes only to spend time with them at formal dinners and tedious meetings. That's it. And my father thought from those brief, stilted interactions, we could establish a clear enough connection to marry. That sounds great, I reply, genuinely looking forward to exploring beyond the palace walls. Thorn sighs loudly, his breath clouding in front of his face and the crisp hair. I just hope at one point we get some privacy. I laugh a little, the sound tinged with irony. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What a novel concept in my current circumstances. Sage will leave us alone, if I order it. He pushes me and tells me what to do most of the time, but ultimately he is aware of my position, and if I demand alone time with my future husband, he will be obliged to agree. But alone time with Thorn, I know that's the point of this exertion, but admittedly, I'm not sure I want to be alone with him. It wouldn't be fair to him, to pretend to want to be physically intimidate with him when that's the last thing I want. He follows my orders. Ultimately, I tell him assuredly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I follow the kings, Sage exclaims from a few feet back. I pause, whirling around to scowl at him. By the slight up to his lips, he's only saying this to taunt me. You're here now, on my soil. God, you can abide by my instructions. Thorn straightens, pinning Sage down with his gaze, who doesn't look away, unbothered. He dips his head. Yes, sir. What other choice does he have? I can protect Zara when you are absent. Understand? Thorn continues. In other words, back off. His firm tone is unwinkled different to the gentle one he used to address me. And he seemed to have slipped into it with ease too, like a true royal. Sage draws in a breath, glancing at me before he nods. Understood. Sage did as he was instructed, and was elsewhere for the rest of the day. Thorn and I spent the day at the frozen lake, talking until the cold chased us back to the estate. He seems kind enough. I'm not certain he ever asked a question about me, nor inquired into any part of my life other than my duties as princess, but I suppose the love match was never in the picture. The only thing we have in common is our positions of power. A soft knock on the door sounds as I'm preparing for bed. Looking down at myself, I note my partially sheer nightdress tie packed. I had purposefully packed it to claim modesty if there never comes knocking. Hopefully the faint shape of my body being visible through my dress is enough to embarrass him and send him rushing off. Slowly, I open the door, peeking out. Sage immediately pushes it wide open, striding in purposefully. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I scold quietly, quickly shutting the door. It's not because I want him to stay, but because if Thorn catches him in here at this hour. I don't like the prince, Sage exclaims, pacing back and forth, rubbing my hands over my eyes. You can't come in here. You could muddy my image in his eyes, I mutter tiredly. I've heard whispers around the estate at home that it's suspected Sage and I involved. We aren't, but Thorn might believe it. Sage stops, a whirlwind of wild emotions passing over his face. I can assure you, he's so desperate to you, nothing could stop him. I roll my eyes. He's not. Maybe he is. He did tell me he was desperate to that night, and he's been making subtle touches at me throughout the day. I'm not sure how Sage sees it. Thought. Sage tilts his head to the side, the lamplight casting a mellow glow over his skin. Why do you care so much about what he thinks? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I need to find a husband. Not only may it improve my standings with the people, but it will give me more protection. I make it step at him, trying to convince him. You of all people should know this isn't my choice. That it's not what I want. He goes silent, staring at me. I shift from foot to foot, rubbing the back of my neck. I can't tell if I secretly like it or blatantly hate it when he looks at me like that. It's like he's searching my soul, stripping it bare for him to examine. And he never pays much attention to anything other than his job, so when he focuses it all on me. You're running from the fact that you have a mate, he murmurs lowly. I should never have told him that. I grit my teeth. I'm doing what is right. As princess. And when did you care about that? He questions coolly, allowing me to see only a momentary flicker of that high school anger he restrains so well. Last time I checked, you want freedom, to escape. Not as much as I want to protect myself and my people. I snap back. Suddenly he's right in front of me, almost no space between us as he leans down to seethe. Liar. You only hate the prince because he tells you what to do. I growl, fingers balling into fist as anger rears up inside me. Sage can inspire it in me without much thought at all. He provokes every ounce of passion I have in my body, and I can't tell if I like it. That feeling, it's foreign to me. Unknown. He's arrogant and pretentious. My father tells you what to do, and you have no issue with that. Sage leans forward, cutting me off. There is absolutely nothing redeemable about your father. My breath catches at my lips. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Unfiltered anger I'm seeing in him isn't frightening. He won't hurt me, I know that, but he truly, deeply hates my father. How dare you? His jaw clenches. Your father can rot in the darkest depths of hell for all I care. Rearing my arm back, I channel as much force as possible as I strike right at his irritedly perfect face. He immediately moves his head out of the way, and when I try a second time, he grabs my arm, pushing me back. I stumble away, glowering at him. The anger melts away into a smile, although the bitterness still lingers in his eyes. His hate for my father burns deep. Go on, Zara. What do you have to say to me, Ugg? I can't stand you, I realize I'm yelling. At this point, I'm in an entirely different wing of the manor to Thorn, but any staff walking by Wahurin may report back to him. I don't have it in me to care anymore. He steps forward, forcing me back until the backs of my legs hit the bed. He breathes, taunting me. Yes, you call Thorn arrogant and pretentious, but that's exactly what you are. You walk around like you own me, and yet you're nothing. You're just some soldier. Hoo-hoo. I don't even know what to say, too distracted as I sink down onto the bed, as if it may break whatever spell he has cast on me. I hate him so much, and yet it feels as though my body yearns for him, even when I'm my most angry. He leans down, gaze shifting over my face, and just like that, the anger melts from his eyes. Any frustration, any resentment, it's replaced by a primal sort of hunger. Sarah, he breathes against my lips. Sage, I gasp out, the intensity of his dark gaze alone pinning me to the bed. He leans down, wrapping his gloved hand around my neck, the pressure making my head spin in the best way. "I do own you." A loud, insistent knock echoes through the room. Sage slowly releases me, straightening. "You're lucky," he murmurs, turning as I sit up, smoothing my hair down as I pitifully attempt to regain my composure. Sage opens the door, and sure enough, Thorn stands at the threshold, looking straight in at me. 16. Word count 90 Nofa's error. I gape at Thorn, unable to will my trembling legs into standing position to come greet him. Sage has thoroughly ruined my composure. "Oh, the prince." Sage sweeps into a bow, which is obviously mocking, only adding to the tension in Thorn's shoulders. Very late, and Thorn has come to my room guard. "What are you doing in Sarah's room?" He questions coldly, looking at me in my almost sheer night clothes. "A final sweep for the night," Sage reports. His procedural tone relieves some fear in me. Thorn cannot fault me for having my guard check my room in times like these. But I can't shake the thought of what he interrupted, what would have happened had he not. Would Sage have kissed me? Or done more? Would I want him to? She is perfectly safe here. I stand swiftly, brushing past Sage. What's with the late-night visit? His intentions for coming here at this hour cannot be entirely innocent. Sage knows it. It's why he seems rooted to his spot, not having excused himself the moment the prince deigned to arrive. "I thought we could talk about that night. When I visited, he rubs the back of his neck. "Oh yes. The night I tried to him. Certainly." I clasp my hands together, even if I'm not sure I want to have this conversation with Thorn. "Sage, you can leave now." Sage stares at me, darkness flickering in his eyes. That primal sort of protectiveness arising from his lack of trust in Thorn. "Actually, guard, why don't you stay? I have a question for you," Thorn says. Slowly, Sage turns his attention to the prince, not saying a word. I push at my guard's shoulders, trying to usher him out the door so he can't witness my poor excuse to get Thorn away next. Sage needs to go and guard me, from outside. "What's the question, Your Majesty?" Sage says ironically. He feels like a statue carved from marble. No matter how much I push at him, he doesn't move. Thorn folds his arms over his chest. "You look like a man who has sex." "Right." My mouth dries. Sage blinks, momentarily confused. I feel as though I've been spun into another world entirely. I didn't even know Thorn was capable to saying the word, let alone confronting Sage about it. Thorn the prince looks down at me. No, seriously. He looks like he's had his way with a fair share of women. I stare back at him, bewildered. Am I supposed to know the answer to that? Am I supposed to have insight into Sage's private affairs? "What's your point, sir?" Sage questions tiredly. "Well, I'd like some advice." Thorn's tone suggests amusement. However, his eyes convey another story. "I've been so sheltered. I wouldn't know the first thing about pleasing a woman." My stomach sinks. Sage glances at me, and then back at the prince and... "It's no secret that Zara and I may be married one day soon. I have no plans to sleep with another woman, so what is to say I can satisfy her? All I can do is look between the two men and wonder if I've been shoved into a nightmare. Royals don't speak of sex like this. Thorn has been the picture of politeness since our interrupted evening together. The only person who has had the confidence to mention sex so casually in front of a princess has been Sage, which makes me fear that the conversation that is about to ensue may not be entirely proper. My guard looks down at me, and slowly, as if sharing a private joke. "If you can't, I'm sure she can." My eyes widen, making it painfully obvious to everyone present what he means. He knows about what I do early in the mornings, when the manor is dark and no one is around. Or at least, what I did do, before he forbid me from it for the sake of my training. To my agent extraordinaire, embody, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Don't. I grit out. Thorn pays it no mind. Seriously. I don't want to disappoint. You wouldn't. Thorn, it's Sage. You cuts me off. You will learn her body, what she likes. My stomach turns over. Not because of the nature of the conversation, but because of what Sage is insinuating. I didn't know until now that the thought of falling into bed with Thorn is now the last thing I want. Thorn sits down on the edge of my bed, pointing at Sage. Give me specifics. It's an order. I wouldn't want to make Sarah uncomfortable. Sage shakes his head. My eyes fall to my feet. This conversation is a nightmare, but strangely, I want to hear what he has to say. Maybe it would give me an indication of what he would have done to me had Thorn not knocked on the door, and from what he might say, it might confirm whether I would have wanted him to continue or not. You won't, I barely whisper. Tell me, God, how would you Sarah if you got the chance? Thorn questions. The bluntness makes me shudder, but I can't bring myself to look at him. Sage shifts uncomfortably. You truly wish to hear this. He is probably worried that Thorn is going to have him fired or killed if he does this. There is a storm in Thorn's eyes, but I don't think this is a trap. Go on, the prince insists. Sage releases a long breath, and when I look up, he's staring at me, not Thorn. I would take my time with someone like Sarah, he murmurs lowly, the heat in his eyes paralyzing me. She needs settling down, put in her place, and first time or not, I wouldn't go easy on her. My heart almost fails me. To my agent extraordinaire, embody, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Thorn sounds genuinely surprised. Surely by now he knows I'm not some simpering princess who will allow a man to walk all over me. I would take a long time making her beg. Bringing her to the edge over and over until she's a trembling, pathetic mess. And maybe then I would her. Not once does he remove his eyes from me. I'm not sure I'm breathing. Wow, Thorn exclaims, and I wouldn't stop until she was thoroughly. Everyone near will hear how loud she can scream my name, until that is the only word she knows. My name, the way he says it, it's as if his early words are true. I own you. Sage isn't my mate. He can't be, unless he is conspiring against me and my reign. Which means my draw to him is for an entirely different reason. Sounds like you've thought about it. Thorn notes darkly. Sage laughs a little, the sound bitter and strained. I'm surprised Thorn hasn't stood up and struck him right in the face for being so graphic, although maybe he has actually taken the advice to heart. It's not really advice, though. It's what Sage would do. My God looks at me. She would never want that, though. Would you, Sarah? I narrow my eyes, rubbing my sweaty palms together. Maybe I'd put you in your place. Something flares in his eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, embody, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Well, that was quite the description. Thorn notes, getting to his feet again. He looks thoughtful, making me hope he isn't imagining Sage's graphic description. Sage boldly takes a step toward the prince. And after you've done all that, and she is not satisfied, then you can let her find a real man who can have how she truly deserves. My mouth falls open, and who would such an honor befall? To my agent extraordinaire, embody, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Thorn tilts his head, daring him to say it. It would be her choice, Sage responds, tucking his hands behind his back. That's likely a strange concept for a royal, considering Zara has never had a choice in her life. Has she? Get out. I growl at him, Before Thorn can strike him, he turns to me, bowing his head. My pleasure. And with that, he walks from the room, closing the door behind him. My head falls into my hands. What just happened? He has successfully left me as a shell of who I was before. But he's a strange man. Thorn mutters. Thankfully, he doesn't sound as angry as I thought he may have been. He has been called to Sage, like he suspects something is going on between us. Is something going on between us? You did ask him, I mumble. He shakes his shoulders, as if he's ridding the conversation from his mind completely, forcing a tight smile onto his face. I hope I can propose to you as soon as possible. Dear's error. I would like that, I force myself to say. This is why I am here. In his home. Securing a proposal is my only objective now. Thorn runs a hand through his faded blonde hair, stepping forward. Immediately I can tell his intention before he does anything. He cups eyed of my face, leaning in to kiss me. If we do that now, I'll get carried away, I say against his lips, trying not to wince. There is no way I can engage with him in anything now. Not after what Sage divulged. Thorn practically falls back a few steps, rubbing the back of his neck uncomfortably. He looks as though I've just hit him. That's okay, he mumbles, his cheeks flushing bright red. I glance at the door, knowing Sage is behind it. Once, I wanted to taunt him with the thought of having sex with Thorn, and now the concept terrifies me. I think I want to wait until the wedding night, if that is okay, I ask softly. He rubs his forehead, nodding. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Good night. He brushes past me, pausing only to softly kiss my cheek. When he opens the door, Sage doesn't turn around, opting instead to just shuffle out of the way. Night. Just as the door slams shut, I sigh dramatically, throwing my hands up. What tonight this has turned into. Quietly, I settle for bed, trying not to think about Sage standing outside my door still. Once I've shoved my legs under the covers, switching the lamp off, I'm left completely alone with my thoughts. And they are on one thing, Sage's advice to Thorn. Graphic thoughts of what Sage could do to me flash through my mind. He would pin me to the bed and make love to me now, me how he promised. My fingers shift on their own accord, right between my thighs. I close my eyes, allowing images of Sage to flood my mind, until suddenly, the bedroom door cracked. The rule for training still applies. I've never drawn my fingers away from between my legs faster. He can't see because of the sheets, but I'm sure he knows, considering how my cheeks are staining with color. He said I was going to touch myself. I bite back. He only smiles. I just had a feeling. And then, he closes the door. 17-word count, 1843's being back home feels good. But my feelings of doubt about Thorn have chased me all the way back here. You're a princess. Don't forget your duty. I grit my teeth as my father's voice echoes through my mind, collapsing onto my stomach, unable to hold my weight up any longer. Sage crouches down beside me, flicking my forehead. You're not focusing. It's hard to with your grating voice in the background. I snap, pressing my cheek against the floor as if I can feel the frozen ground beneath. I hardly speak during training. I can hear the frown in his voice. Heaving myself up into standing position, I collect my throwing knives, flipping one over in my hand. I'm just feeling lightheaded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I mutter. And I'm tired, and not climaxing daily really is starting to bother me, although Sage doesn't need to know that detail. Drink water, I have been. I grumble. I drink water. I eat food. It's thorn that has muddled my head, and most importantly, it's the weight of my obligations. I feel like I'm moments from imploding in on myself. Sage steps closer, grabbing my gloved hands. He scoops the knives into his, pulling them away from me. You're frustrated. Talk to me. He prompts gently. I look at him, noting the concern, how genuine it is. It's these brief moments that deceive me into believing Sage is redeemable, that he isn't just some hired killer who values my life as much as he's getting paid that week. Don't pretend like you care, I mutter. His brows furrow. Who's to say I don't? You have a job to do. That's the only reason why you're here. I don't know why that hurts. He can't be blamed for that, and yet for some reason, it still bothers me. He goes silent. Why else would I be here? I release a long breath. Why does hearing him say that hurt? Of course his reasons for being here aren't to be kind to me, or to care for my emotions. He's here to physically train me. I turn away. Never mind. He grabs my arm, turning me back around. I take this job very seriously. He murmurs slowly, the intensity in his eyes taking me aback. It's why I heavily he breaks off, letting go of me before his gaze sweeps away. Haven't what? He swallows uncomfortably. Does he mean what I think he means? Images flash through my mind. Images of Sage coming into my room late at night, pulling the covers off my body, and then my clothes. And he with me, like he promised. Blinking, I shake my head a little. All this tension between us is starting to get to me. You're getting stronger, both mentally and physically. Instead of answering properly, he's not interested in sating my curiosity yet. I don't feel mentally strong, I admit, clasping either side of my head. And what will all this be for if I am to marry Thorn soon? There's a chance that this problem will reach to Thorn's territory too, but we are relying on the fact that it won't. But I am a royal, and chances are, I'm still going to be a target no matter where I live. Sage adjusts his gloves. You should reconsider your choice in life partner. Why? I ask squarely. He speaks unkindly to his staff. And I'm not talking about me. He explains coldly. I've heard he can be a harsh man when he is angry. I would hate for you, he breaks off. My eyes narrow. For me to what? His gaze sweeps down over me. To fall victim to his false charms. I fold my arms over my chest. I'm not surprised Sage doesn't like Thorn, when he doesn't even like my father. He hasn't divulged why yet. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It doesn't matter. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It's not as if I'm going to fall in love with Thorn, or share all my time with him. We are both going to get the benefits we need from our marriage, and whatever happens outside of that I can deal with. Sage's warning does cause a spike of fear deep inside me though. I'm immune to them. Trust me. This union will be about power, about uniting my frail kingdom with his strong one. I tell him, getting down onto the floor to resume my stretching. That's no life to live, he murmurs lowly, watching me as I stretch my legs out. And you care. I grumble. He goes silent, stalking around me. I don't look up on him, concentrating on not wincing at the pull on my hamstrings, no. Live as you please. And just warn you. I roll my eyes. Noted. When I finally look up, Sage is frowning, deep in thought. I wish I knew what he was thinking at all times. His expressions are contrary to what he is saying, because it's clear he does care to some extent about what I do. Your face I deadpan. He blinks. What? It's obvious you disagree with my decision, with my reasoning. I say sorry. If I let myself think about it too much, I would disagree with it too, but Sage doesn't know what it is like to be tied to obligations like this. Especially ones that have been pushed on me since I was a young girl. Your father owns you like property to use at his disposal, to give off to another. I don't like that, he admits, rolling his shoulders irritably. It's tradition. I feel foolish even telling that. Then break it, he insists. Groaning, I roll my ankles around, wishing I could just go back inside and crawl into bed. Nothing has felt the same between Sage and I since returning here. I can't stop replaying the other night in my head. It's not so simple. You don't get it, I mutter tiredly. Sage paces back and forth. Not to mention he's a virgin. Looking up at him, what did you say? He couldn't please you. He has no experience, he exclaims flippantly. I scramble up to my feet, although I'm a healthy distance away from Sage. Whenever he mentions sex, things start to get tense between each other. For the sake of training, and also my irritation, it feels safer to linger away and hope he doesn't get too close. I rub the back of my neck uncomfortably. He would learn. Other than producing heirs, I will be happily avoiding Thorn's bed for the entirety of our marriage. If he has a problem with that, I don't care. How boring. He laughs breath-ily, as if my future sex life is a joke to him. I grit my teeth, fingers balling up into fists. Boring. Let me guess, because I've only sex with Lewis. I'm boring. I'm not even sure why I'm telling him this. He just inspires rage in me so easily. He narrows his eyes. You had sex with? Come on, tell me I'm boring, I hiss. My anger wraps around my heart. At least I've convinced myself it's anger, and not hurt, knowing that I'm a joke to him, and that I'll never have the opportunity to be with who I want to like he does. Sage shakes his head, stepping toward me. This is about him. Not you. He should be teaching you things, making you feel good. I quietly ignore the feeling nestling in my stomach. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I don't care about what he's like in bed. This isn't a love match. I know you do, he accuses. I swallow, wondering how he can know so much about how I feel when I rarely speak to him about my wants and desires. He takes another step at me. Doesn't it bother you that he asked me for sex advice? Your advice sucked anyways, so who cares? I snap. It didn't. I felt about what he has said every hour since he uttered it. Walking in here this morning, I flushed, unable to make proper eye contact for the first few minutes. The edge of his lips quirk up. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Did it? Yeah, I say breathlessly. I wouldn't have even liked what you insinuated. He knows I'm lying. It's clear in the way he steps at me, smirking now. Despite his amusement, his eyes convey a primal desire that I would love to feed into, if my rational thoughts weren't battling me. Liar. I shake my head, trembling slightly from excitement. No. You sound terrible in bed. I see right through you. Miss Sarah, he murmurs, standing so close now I can smell his intoxicating scent. It has me in a tighter grip on that his blatant seduction. I fold my arms over my chest, as if it can protect me from his charms. Believe whatever you like. Sex with you would be a total bore. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'd never felt such a thrill, except for when my mate and me pinned up against a tree. My head is all over the place. How can I feel this way for Sade when I have a mate? The thought of being with him should repulse me. Is that why you went to touch yourself that night before interrupted? He asks blatantly. I was thinking of Thorn. There is no point in denying what I was going to do. But the subject of my fantasies is none of his business. He slowly shakes his head, leaning down to whisper in my ear. You were thinking about what it would feel like for your fingers to have been mine, sliding between your legs. How straining. A voice calls out from across the gym. Sage doesn't pull away. It's me who steps back, whirling around to face my father. He shakes snow from his hair, not seeming to have taken much notice of our proximity. It's going well, I say sweetly, knowing it most definitely hasn't today. Excellent. Seems as though Sage may not be needed soon enough. Sage nods, looking down at me, not saying a word as he backs away. He rarely checks on us. He must be anxious about an encroaching attack, the heat of Sage's gaze. You know what it means once you're relieved of duty for you, father. What does it mean? He steps past me, rubbing my hands together. That the rules regarding our relationship no longer apply. My breath catches in my throat. Is he suggesting what I believe he is? And what if I don't wish for anything to change? Trying to sound sure of myself, but even I can hear how breathless I am. He only smiles as he turns away. We'll see about that. A team word count, 1694's error. I stare at my bedroom door as I settle into bed, knowing who is behind it. How I'm still not used to Sage's guard after all these weeks is beyond me. Only one wall between us isn't enough. Rolling over, I switch my lamp off, bathing the room in darkness. I'm only blessed with a few moments of unbothered rest before the sound of my window scraping open has me sitting up in the darkness. Panic seizes me first. Is it my mate? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. With shaking fingers I switch my lamp back on, bathing a portion of my room with enough light to reveal the meek state of my only true friend. Louis, what are you doing? I whisper frantically, glancing at the door Sage stands behind. Louis ruffles a hand through his hair, pointing at the window. That is quite the climb. Keep your voice down, I whisper, pulling myself from the bed. Everything okay? He steps towards me, the weight of him causing the floorboards to creak. I wince, hoping Sage is excusing the sound as me getting up to use the bathroom. My guard will murder me if he finds someone in here, I tell him lowly, jerking my thumb at the door. Louis looks distastefully at it. He's made it impossible for me to come see you. My heart flutters. In the flurry of the past few weeks, I've neglected my usually frequent visits to the downstairs porch where Louis meets me. And if Sage found me with Louis again, I'm afraid he may hurt him. I smooth my hair back with both my hands, sighing. I know it's frustrating. How long is he around for? Until I am strong enough to fight off an attacker, I tell him. I'm getting more adept with my fighting skills, but my mate pinned me down with strength I'm not sure I'll ever compete with. Louis steps closer. Your father is insane for hiring someone like that. How can you trust him? I nearly laugh. Trust Sage. Maybe if I knew him beyond his job as a mercenary I would consider it, but he's yet to reveal anything about himself, even when I press him on it. I have no other choice. Louis rubs a hand over his eyes, clearly stressed. I'm just happy to see you. I know that much. Yeah, I missed you. These past few weeks have been insane. I reach out to him, drawing him in for a hug. He smells of snow and sweat from his dramatic climb up the fragile trellis. But he also smells familiar, like many nights of freedom that I've treasured. When I pull away, his grip around my waist remains tight. His eyes flutter closed as he leans toward me. For some reason, I stiffen, jerking away from him. While I mumble, leaving a generous distance between us. I'm not disgusted by him, nor am I offended that he wants to kiss me. I just don't want it. Since realizing I have a mate, I'm not interested in mindless trysts with him anymore. He blinks. Everything okay? I just think we should be friends. Platonic ally. I mean. I stumble stupidly over my words. My stomach is hollow seeing the hurt in his eyes. Oh really? He glances over my shoulder. At the door Sage is behind. He doesn't think this has anything to do with my guard. Does he? I need to concentrate on my safety right now. And I'm probably going to be married very soon. I anxiously rub the back of my neck, hating the excuses. I'm not lying. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. There is more to it though. Being with Louis, even if I wanted to, is about as possible as being with my mate. You don't want to marry? He sounds genuinely upset, his voice trembling a little. I swallow thickly. No, but it's my duty. Sage is right. I've been manipulated by my environment. And my father. I sound crazed. Totally indoctrinated. Anger flares in Louis's eyes as he points to the door. Did that guy tell you to stop being with me? I wince. We are whispering, but his voice is slowly starting to rise. Yes, but it's also my decision. I insist. Sage couldn't actually forbid me from anything unless I wanted to give it up. If I really needed to, I would have continued to touch myself every morning. Louis stops his pacing, so tense I'm uncomfortable looking at him. You know what? I think I want to talk to this guy. Panic snaps within me as he charges past me, pushing for my grasp. Lou, don't. Like the fool he is when he's blinded by anger, he throws the door open. Sage is leaning stoically against the wall opposite to my door, hands clasped in front of him. Upon the sound of the door opening, he looks from where his gaze was trained on the ground. Hey, I need to talk to you. Lou snaps. Sage immediately strides forward, violently pushing Louis back into my room before pressing him up against the closed door. Who are you? Holding a knife up to my friend's neck. I hadn't even realized he had pulled it out. And now, Louis's life is in danger. What about you? Whole-eat mercenaries don't just come out of nowhere. I have to give Louis credit where it's due. If Sage were holding a knife to my neck, I think I would be a sobbing mess, left begging for mercy. No, they don't. Sage once sounded angry, but now, he's resumed that deadly calm that threatens to raise panic in even me. And neither do boys climbing through princesses' windows. I'm her friend. Louis hisses back. Sage angles his head, a predator examining his prey. Not anymore. Louis wrestles against his grip. He doesn't stand a chance. Not that he would anyway. Weapon or not, as if you control that. Let him go, Sage. Pulling at him. He rolls his shoulder to avoid my touch, keeping Louis pinned against the door like a criminal. Louis would be dead by now, were he not my friend. I'm surprised Sage didn't recognize him when they first encountered each other. I do control that, because I'm trying to keep her alive. Sage seethes. Now get out of her life. If I see you in her room like this again, I'll kill you. Not before I kill you, Louis squirts out, shifting uncomfortably as the blade draws a small amount of red water. Sage tilts his head to the side, smirking like Louis's pathetic threats amuse him. I invite you to try. He lets my friend go, slipping his dagger back in its sheath. Louis stumbles back, adjusting his jacket uncomfortably. Thankfully he's smart enough not to immediately charge at an awaiting Sage, who seems entertained by the thought of a challenge. I've had enough of both of you. You can each get out of my room. I snap, pointing to the door. Louis gapes at me. You can't just let him push you around. Zara. It's my job, Sage reminds him tensely, leaning against my bedroom wall. He isn't going to be the first to leave this room. Not when there's a small chance Lewis may turn on me and put his job in jeopardy. I don't let him do anything to me. Now go. I nudge Lewis's shoulder. It hurts to push him out, but I don't have any other choice. And if word gets back to Thorn that a man is in my room, I doubt he will want to marry me anymore. Lewis leans forward and kisses my cheek. I'll catch up with you soon. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'll see you, Lewis, I murmur lowly. He smiles weakly before slipping through the door, obviously planning on taking the back way down. That's probably for the best, because scaling down the trellis again will probably kill him. Once he's gone, I run my hands through my hair, releasing a long breath. Sage smiles a little, shaking his head. I narrow my eyes. What's that look? Nothing, he mumbles. Sage I press. He looks as though he's enjoying a personal joke at my expense. He adjusts his gloves, still smirking. I just don't get it. You know. No, I don't, I say warily. He doesn't seem like your type. My eyes narrow, unsure of what he's insinuating my type to me. I'm not sure I even know, although there is something about the dark and enigmatic he may be. You wouldn't know, I accuse. Seems like a little bit of desperation, huh? No one else around that would suffice. He taunts. I grit my teeth. He's trying to tease a response out of me, but I'm not going to give him what I want. I'm not above trying to seduce Sage into my bed for a night of fun at release, but I don't feel like being rejected tonight. With everything going on, I'm fragile enough. He's my friend. Before everything, I mutter, folding my arms over my chest. Sage's gaze softens, that taunting look vanishing. I don't mean to restrict you from seeing your friend. It's only temporary. I know that. But I don't. Who knows when this threat will be gone? Even if so, I'll be with Thorn in his territory soon enough, which means Lewis won't be able to get to me anyway. Sage nods. Good. Good. He turns toward the door, pausing before his fingers brush against the handle. No more guys sneaking into your room. Got it. I laugh a little. Other than my mate, who else would ever join me in here? Yes, Sage, I say sweetly, fluttering my lashes. Sage rolls his eyes, although I catch his smile as he slips from my room. 19-word count, 17th hour. I stare down at the folded piece of paper on my vanity, narrowing my eyes suspiciously. How exactly this got here, I don't even want to know. I suspect I know who wrote it, as I carefully pick it up, laying it flat to examine in the hurried print. I need to see you, and Sarah, I've been a terrible disappointment to you. The last thing I desire is to kill you, or to hurt you. I need you to trust me. Meet me tonight, across the river, your mate. My red water goes as cold as the snow falling outside. I'm going to see him again. I'm not sure if I should be excited or scared. Last time I met up with him, a terrible thing transpired between us and a tree he was pressing me against. That won't be repeating itself. Not if I can help it. Zara. I jump, turning to see my father standing in my doorway. I rest my palm over my chest. Dad. You scared me. He steps into the room, looking around it. If he's good with anything, it's privacy. He doesn't often come in here, nor does he inquire too deeply about what I do in my personal time. As long as it doesn't affect my duties as princess, he doesn't care. I wanted to give you some good news. Looking around my room as he strolls in. Great. What is it? Ever so slowly, I shove the note left for me by my mate under my leg. We have some good leads on who this mysterious group may be. He picks up one of the books I brought up her from the library, flicking through a few pages without looking at me. My heart jumps. There's an old crime lord who used to run rampant in a nearby village. There are rumors that they put together a group to dismantle the royal reign. He explains, I dripping off each word. I look down at my feet. My mate wants to dismantle the very floor I stand on. He wants to rid me of my title and dispose of me and my father. Where would someone want that? I whisper, clutching my stomach, which is hollowed out completely. People have their reasons. But that does not matter, Father exclaims dismissively. He's good as not giving problems any weight at risk of scaring me. It's why I don't feel ready to take over as queen. I hardly know anything, even though I've trained my whole life for this position. I rub my hands together uncomfortably. If you find them, please don't kill them. Father frowns, while I keep my expression neutral. I don't want him to become suspicious about my sudden interest in keeping these people alive. Were it not for my mate, I would probably happily let them face the death penalty. Why would we spare them? He questions. Would we be any better than them if we didn't? I know it's pointless arguing with my father. He can rule quite abrasive lie at times. He paces before me, hands tucked behind his back. We don't need to be better than them. We need get revenge. I don't want revenge. I mumble, twisting the simple silver ring around my finger, running my thumb over the small diamond. It was a gift Father gave me after my mother died. He wanted to cheer me up, to brush over my pain like he has done since I was a little girl. It's easier to pretend it doesn't exist than acknowledge and fix it. Which is why another group like the ones targeting us is bound to pop up again. You should, sweetheart. They tried to kill you. He takes my hands in his cold ones, squeezing gently. We should first understand their motivation. His eyes soften, a docile smile touching his lips. You are just like your mother, always thinking about others. I don't know about that. My chest tightens. She was a kind, gentle soul, from what I remember of her. I wonder what she would think about this situation. She would probably tell me to pursue my mate, no matter what. Father wasn't hers, and I know from stories that she ached for her true mate every day. Knowing I'm resigned to a similar fate is depressing. How is Sage faring as your guard? Father asks, releasing my hands. He's infuriating and completely unlickable. I tell him honestly. No complaints to relay with my father about Sage would change his employment. If I really wanted to, I could reveal Sage's hatred toward him. He would be banished from this estate in a second, and probably charged somehow. But I know deep down I don't want that good, as long as he keeps you safe. I smother a smile. I guess he does that. He does it too well. He will be gone before you know it. Father gives me a tight smile, although both of us know that may not be true. Sage will be here until I'm strong enough, which isn't yet, or until the threat neutralizes. Even though we haven't had a break-in for a couple weeks, it doesn't mean they aren't plotting for something worse. I just sigh. You're right. I'll see you at dinner. With that, he departs, leaving me sitting on the edge of my bed. I pull out the crumpled note left by my mate from under my leg. I'm going to see him again tonight, and even though I shouldn't be, I'm excited. Another knock sounds from my door, so I quickly jump up and shove the note into my desk drawer before summoning the person in. Holding something in his hand, "This came for you." He holds it out to me. I take it, realizing it's a note. From Thorn. He nods once. Seems so. I survey his look for a moment. He is good at keeping his expression impassive, although I can see the dark curiosity in his eyes as I peel the note open. Dear Era, I haven't been able to get you out of my head recently. I'm hoping soon to come visit you, to relieve me of the agony of being apart from you. I truly hope you are as excited to see me as I you. Anyways, write to me whenever you please. I smile a little, letting Sage pluck the note out of my fingers to read it himself. He scans it quickly with a sharp gaze before he laughs a little. How miserable. I snatch it from his hand, holding it against my chest. It's romantic. It's a little over the top, but it's better than him not writing at all. Part of me is convinced he may actually care about me, even if that's a little nervy. He's making sure you are aware that he intends to propose, so you don't go looking elsewhere while you're away, he mutters, adjusting his dark jacket. You are so jaded. Who hurt you? I grumble. If Sage were really aligned with the royal cause, he would be pushing me into my marriage with Thorn. It is refreshing to have someone near that is willing to be truthful with me. To my agent extraordinaire, __Royal, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He raises a brow. Am I wrong? No, but still it's sweet. I hold it out again, reading the first sentence over. Sage rolls his eyes incredulously. He isn't convinced Thorn's intentions are innocent. What happens if you marry him and he turns out to be the opposite of what he depicts in these simpering letters? Sage questions, his gaze considering me. I give him a hateful smile, turning to put the letter on my desk. I've received 2 surprising letters today, which need a lot of thought. Even though Thorn has sent a kind one, I'm still going to risk it all to speak to my mate tonight. You can go now, since you're so jealous. Sage's stare is relentless. Jealous, huh? You can deny it, but you and I both know it's true. I say brightly, I don't know if it's true. I doubt it is, but it's fun to tease him. Instead of denying it, he backs away, conflict building in his eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, __Royal, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I won't be at your door tonight. It will be Jack. I have business to attend to in the town. I blink, as the door closes behind him. That was a strange interaction. I thought he would toy with me, make fun of me for accusing him of being jealous. But instead, he just walked out the door like I had revealed the truth. Shaking the thought from my head, I turn my attention back to my desk. I have more important concerns, such as sneaking out to meet my mate tonight. I wait until midnight. Pressing my ear against the door, I can hear Jack's often snoring outside my door. This could not have worked out better, with Sage being out tonight. Quietly, I sneak from the room and down the stairs, heading toward the servants' door. My mate is awaiting me in the forest, my heart fluttering as a result. Just as I turn the corner to stalk out the door, I stop short, seeing a dark figure lingering in the threshold. Horror rolls through me as I realize it's Sage, arms folded over his chest as he regards me cruelly. Well, what do we have here? 20-word count, out 1850 to 0 well. I'm Sage what? You're sneaking out. Why he demands, his deadly calm tone and expression unsettling. There's a wrath deep within him that I may just become well accustomed with tonight. I gesture stupidly at the door he now stands in front of. I need some fresh air. If anything, my stuttering is going to give me away. His gaze sweeps over me. You're all dressed up. I look down at myself, at the nice coat and boots I've chosen to wear out into the snow. It's a conscious choice, admittedly, to try look nice for my mate. I don't know why I bother, considering he's going to be wearing all black and a hood. Please just let me go. You really think I'm going to allow you to go into the night, completely alone? He folds his arms over his chest, tapping his fingers against his bicep impatiently. I reach out, playfully pushing his shoulder. I know you don't trust me, but I swear I'm not in too much danger. He stares at me, unimpressed. Tsar, he says my name like he's both scolding and seducing me. He takes a few steps toward me, forcing me to match them back, wary of those strong arms and how easily they could stop me from making my daring escape out into the snow. You're advancing on me, I note apprehensively. Because I'm going to grab you, and I'm going to take you to your room and keep you in there the whole night. He tilts his head to the side, smiling bitterly. A thrill shudders down my spine at the suggestive implication. As tempting as that sounds, I need to go. It's just to talk to Lewis, I tell him, plastering on my own fake smile to appease him. He raises a brow, each step toward me purposeful. That's supposed to convince me. Sage, please, I whisper, my back bumping against the door. Sorry, princess. I have to do my job. He grabs me, throwing me over his shoulder with such ease it's chilling. I yelp, as he winds his arm around my legs, immediately stalking up the stairs. Ugh, Sage. I protest, thumping on his back. Luckily for you, I'll keep this incident away from your father. He continues up the stairs through the dark, his strength both impressive and a little frightening. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He shoulders my bedroom door open, disregarding the snoozing guard half slumped over himself on the floor. I wince as he dumps me on the bed. He doesn't back up though, forcing me to stay lying down unless I want a face full of his crotch. I'll only keep your secret if you tell me where you were heading. Bracing myself up on my elbows, I glower at him. I can't. You will. You'll kill me. I grumble. What is the worst fate? Being subjected to all my least favorite exercises at training tomorrow or have my father strip away my every freedom. Not that I have many to begin with. I'm sure your father would be far less lenient in his punishment than I will be, Sage states, stalking over to the window. I watch him draw the curtain back gently, staring out across the frozen lawn to the forest. My heart falters in my chest as I silently pray my mate isn't within Sage's view. Fine, I sigh, drawing his attention back to me. I was going out to see my mate. I'm sure he already figures. No other excuse is going to get me out of his interrogation, so I may as well be honest. He stares at me, cold and relentless. I suck a breath through my teeth. I know it's crazy, but he left a note and I need to see him again. The slightest crease draws between Sage's brow, his gaze passing over the room as if the note may reveal itself. It is stuffed safely under my mattress, right beside my dagger. If it reaches for it, I'll slice his fingers off. I thought he vanished. He breathes quietly. I sit up, pushing my damp hands down my thighs. Until now. The more I tell Sage, the lower my chances are of ever seeing my mate again. I'm going to have to be more creative in getting out of this place. And you trust him. Sage sounds more curious than confused or angry, so I suppose that's a good sign now. But I need to try. Right. I give him a hopeless smile that he doesn't share. If he wishes to speak with you, he can come here and meet you before the king, he mutters. I roll my eyes, flopping dramatically down onto the bed again. My father would gut the poor man. Being thrown into the prison would be too mild a punishment for daring to be mated to a royal. You know that will never happen, I say quietly. His gaze assesses me as he nods slowly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Suddenly, he sits down on the bed next to me, unlacing his boots. Watching him quietly as he promptly kicks the boots off before he stands again. What are you doing? I ask warily. Preparing to sleep, he responds, as if that's an entirely normal concept. I glance at my bed, and then back at him. Images of what he would look like they're flashing through my mind. Why, he gives a little shrug. You think I'm about to leave this room after the escape attempt? I gape at him as he rids of his shirt, folding it up nicely. My mouth dries at the sight of him. The unfair part of living in a cold climate is that I rarely see Sage without his coat or jacket on. And now, he's standing without even a shirt, allowing me to study the intricate tattoos that pass from his arms down to his chest. And that muscled abdomen, I think I may faint if I stare for much longer. Where will you sleep? My voice sounds hoarse and pathetic. On the floor. He crouches down, arranging the shirt so it acts as a pillow. My eyes widen, looking between my bed where I am expected to sleep, and him. That doesn't look comfortable, I note, watching him lie down on the floor. He closes his eyes. I've slept in war zones. I'll be fine. It's clear that he wants to go to sleep, but I'm not done talking to him. He busted my night with my mate. The least he can do is chat. Your past fascinates me, I say before I can think better of it. It's nothing exciting, I can assure you. There is a sadness in his tone. Maybe it wasn't exciting, but I imagine he experienced far more than I ever had, and ever will. Sighing, I shed my coat off, then my shoes before reaching for the waistband of my pants. Whoa, what are you doing? Sage questions, sitting up. Picking up the flimsy silk I usually sleep in, getting into my nightdress. Sage looks more frightened than I've ever seen him. His dark hair rains over his eyes, his chest rising and falling in sudden panic. You shouldn't, he grits out, tone sharp. I don't want to sleep in these clothes. I'm confused. Does he not want me to be comfortable or something? He looks as though he's just seen a ghost. With a frown embedded so deeply into his forehead, I fear it may be permanent. He slowly lies back down. All right, what is it? I question warily. Does he think we are under threat of another break-in tonight? He shifts uncomfortably, and not because of his position on the floor. I just don't think you getting undressed in front of me is a good idea. His eyes flutter closed as I stare down at him. He's so tense he hurts to look at. Regardless, I pull my shirt off, watching his face to ensure those eyes don't open as I undo my bra and stuff it under my bed. Why not? I ask as I pull the nightdress over my head, then kick off my pants and underwear. The latter joins my bra in a concealed place away from Sage's eyes. I see him swallow tightly. Do you have any idea what I could do to you? My mouth falls open a little. No, Sage, but I've thought about it. I know. He doesn't say anything, while I stand a few feet from him, pressing my thighs together. I can feel the most private part of me dampening, forcing me to turn and clamber into bed quickly. Silence stretches between us as I switch the lamp off, tugging the duvet up to my chin. What if you're disappointed by who your mate turns out to be? Sage asks softly. Something deep in my soul cowers a little. I've thought about it, the disappointment, the fear that he isn't a good man. It doesn't haunt me though, but only because I don't let it. I trust in whatever divine forespared my mate and I together. Is that possible? He's my mate. I remind him. You would be surprised. I need to speak to him in order to learn whether I like him or not. I need to reveal his identity as well, which was tonight's plan, had it not been thwarted. Not happening, Sage mutters. Seriously, I can hear him shift. I'm doing the job. Zara. My orders to keep you safe come before any semblance of a friendship you think we have. He doesn't say it in kindly, although I can sense him purposely distancing himself from the moment we had earlier. I wonder if he fears his job security, or if he genuinely believes he could bring me harm by being intimate with me. I sit up a little, grabbing a spare pillow before throwing it in his general direction. You are so unlickable. You know that. I growl, hearing the feathery mouth strike his body. It's quietly followed by him arranging it under head, sleep, breath. I should probably just let him sleep cold, considering all the hell I've endured at his hand. Instead I lean forward, ball up my spare blanket and send it his way as well. He mumbles a quiet thank you as I sink back into bed. Also, I'll hear the moment you step onto these floorboards if you choose to make the mistake of sneaking out again. He reminds me. I pull a horrible face into the darkness. Okay, whatever. Stuffing my head into my pillow, I hear Sage let out a gentle breath, ready for sleep. Rolling over, I consider all the ways I'm going to get back at him. But there is no wiping the soft smile off my face. 21 word count, 1721's error. I'm going to get in trouble for this in the morning. I already know it. Thankfully, a maid owed me a favor, so I convinced her to slip what I insisted was just a crushed-up vitamin into Sage's drink night. She wasn't convinced on the vitamin excuse, but she did it anyway. Nothing can come between me and meeting my mate tonight. And nothing does. As I step over Sage's unconscious for mine against the wall beside my door. I'm tempted to kick him in the ribs for all the brutal training sessions he's inflicted upon me, but him waking in the morning with a bruise won't bode well for me. It takes me minutes to get out of the house and into the dark, snowy labyrinth of the forest. Once I reach our previous meeting spot, I stand and wait, leaning against the frozen trunk of the tree. He doesn't come. I'm not sure how long I wait, pacing incessantly until my boots have worn a perfect line in the snow. Eventually I tire, trekking back toward the manor, guided only by the silvery moonlight that drenches the backyard. Guilt, shame and disappointment accompany me as I make it back upstairs. Sage is still knocked out, as I crouch down to his level, tilting my head to see under the soft black locks of hair that have fallen over his closed eyes. I should draw a cock on your face. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I mutter. He doesn't move, breathing softly. He looks so odd sleeping. I never see him vulnerable. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He's beautiful. Part of me can imagine turning over in bed to see him sleeping, entirely without clothes under watery dawn sunlight. It would douse his perfect, muscular abdomen. I shake my head. What is wrong with me? I leave my forbidden thoughts at the threshold of my room before crawling under my sheets, allowing only thoughts of my mate to plague me until morning. By the time it's rolled around, I know only one thing. I do not want to train today. Regardless, I trudge downstairs and outside to the gym where Sage awaits, already sorting out the equipment he plans to use. I have an idea for exercise we can do to aid your training. Not looking up. I rub my hand over my face. Sure, what is it? I need to make sure you're up to it first. When he looks up at me, there's concern in my eyes. Not sure I like what he's implying. Why wouldn't I be? I ask wary. You look withdrawn recently. Distracted, he observes. I laugh bitterly under my breath. I haven't had a thought not played by either him, my mate, though nor my life is princess in days. I'm fine. Seriously. I don't need to burden him with what haunts me. It's about your mate. That you went and met up with. Tilting his head to study my expression, huh? That's not. I woke up the other morning feeling like I had been drugged. They did you slip me something to go see him. He says it so casually, like he's not angry at me. I feel so pathetic, so embarrassed about last night. Of course he wasn't there. Whatever Sage has planned for me as punishment, I welcome it. He wasn't there, I admit. He lowers his gaze. Oh good, he wouldn't have known I was coming, but it still hurts. I sigh, turning away from him. I'm not going to cry, even if I'm tempted. This is never going to work. I'll never know my mate. It's time to concentrate on your training. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Sage says gently. I appreciate him pulling us away from this topic, giving me something out. He knows my mate is gone. I wonder if he pities me. Okay, I mumble. When I turn back around, there is no emotion left on Sage's face. He stands straighter, back to that ruthless, stoic trainer that I know so well. Learning how to fight here, where you're comfortable, is one thing. But learning how to defend yourself when you're under pressure is an entirely different feat. I shift from foot to foot So, I want to simulate an intrusion. No turn in his expression. A flash of panic seizes me, remembering the horror of being attacked that first night. They may have been my mate, but I've never felt fear like I did that night. You're going to hire someone to try to kill me. Stomach hollowing out. I'm nowhere near proficient enough for that. No, I'm going to do it. He rubs his hands together. I level a look, considering his quiet excitement. I won't be scared if it's you. He gives me a raw, aching stare. Oh, you will be. Something deep inside me flutters to life. I can't tell if it's just anticipation, or if I'm fearful. Sage is an intimidating, frightening person, but he isn't going to hurt me, at least not physically. Sage notices the conflict in my expression, frowning, if it's too much. I force a smile onto my face. This could be beneficial. Instead of wanting to hide or run, I need to learn how to fight back when another intrusion happens. Make it look real. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Sleep like normal tonight. I won't tell you the time. It cannot be something you anticipate. He hastens to add. My smile trembles a little. I'm looking forward to kicking your ass. Something glistens in his eyes before he turns toward the weight rack. We'll see. As soon as training finishes, I dash upstairs to my room decrepit for the night. Sage didn't seem to notice me smuggling an extra couple knives in my jacket pocket that I've now taken to my room. I hide them in various spots throughout my room in anticipation for any kind of attack. One goes under my pillow, with my usual dagger beneath the mattress. For the rest of the day I try unsuccessfully to busy myself with other tasks to get this invasion out of my head. Sage has taken the afternoon off, which has tripped up my usual routine, and has added to my anticipation. I'm scared, but I'm also excited. Once night finally falls, I dress in shorts and a tight shirt and slip under the covers. I don't fall asleep. I lay for hours staring up at the ceiling. Eventually I reach under my pillow and pull out the knife, keeping it clutched in my hand as I wait patiently. I shouldn't be excited about tonight. It's so wrong, yet my heart patters rampantly against my ribs. I swear I'm paying attention. I'm aware of everything around me, even as I'm bathed in darkness, and yet I don't notice Sage is in the room until he's on top of me. He grabs my wrists with painful force, pushing them into the bed beside my head. The knife clatter rests to the floor, panic freezing me for a brief moment. Really strong, and I doubt he's even using all he is capable of. I can't see his face as I fight against him, trying to force the weight of him off my body. I manage to disrupt him enough to dislodge one of my wrists, but he quickly rearranges it so that he has both my wrists in one hand, the other wrapping around my neck. The grip isn't tight enough to hurt me, but it's a simulation of what could happen where I actually am about to be murdered by an intruder. For a long moment, I don't move. I don't fight back. I can feel Sage staring down at me, even though I can't see his face. Something has shifted between us. I should be concentrating on this simulation, on how I might escape, And yet there is something painfully intimate about the way Sage is pressed against me, the way his hand is wrapped around my neck. Something dark and forbidden buzzes between us. I know he feels it too, as he leans faintly closer. Do it, I whisper. Sage leans forward. However, instead of brushing his lips against mine, I can feel them near my ear. And give you what you want, he murmurs, his tone sounding like a sinister threat and essential promise. Using this moment of distraction, I use my body weight to push him off me. The moment his grip loosens, I jab him with my knee in the stomach before rolling off the bed, pushing myself away until there is a good distance between us. Sage coughs once, leaning over to switch the lamp on. Well done, Zara. Pulling the hood down. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Quixote's enthusiasm. You weren't meant to enjoy that. My heart flutters at the sight of him. His dark hair is all messy and he is dressed in black clothes that are far more sinister than his usual training attire. I smile coyly. Who said I did? Sage laughs, breath ILY, pulling his gloves off. My mouth dries as I take in his bare hands. It's an unusual look for my guard. Your intruder wants to be kissing you, he reminds me. My heart stumbles over itself as I consider the idea that Sage wants to kiss me. And then I think about my mate, the intruder, who did kiss me. Probably not, I say uncomfortably, dipping my head down so Sage can't see my cheeks flush bright pink. You did well. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Quixote's enthusiasm. You're learning. I smile triumphantly. I beat you. He stalks toward the door, ruffling a hand through his hair. I stare at his back, realization dawning on me. You let me win. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing Quixote's enthusiasm. Of course he did. He is a mercenary trained for the purpose of killing. If the purpose of this exercise was to kill my confidence, then he could have. Sage doesn't turn as he walks from the room. Like I said, you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.